All right. So now let's go to the real issue of today. And I'll spend less minutes to talk about this. My friends call me the Chief Energizing Officer. He's also CEO. And the matter of inspiration that I also talked about, what I'm doing today in terms of my business, one of my businesses, was also inspired by Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 to 4. Let us read it. Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 to 4. And it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Then God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. So the business I'm doing today was inspired by these 4 verses. How did it come to happen? I will share that with you in the course of my speaking. So, my message to you this morning is titled, Harnessing and Profiting from the Pandemic Power Situation in Nigeria. When I get a topic like this, I try to look for the keywords. So I break them down so I also have an understanding of what I'm talking about. What's harnessing? When you put something to use, these are dictionary meanings, right? So you harness, okay? You might have a potential that you need to harness for the benefit of yourself and mankind. Then secondly is profiting, to derive benefit from something, all right? And we talked about pandemic. Pandemic is particularly interesting. It's a combination of pandemonium and epidemic. So when you have pandemonium and epidemic coming together, then you know there's a real situation. But in that kind of situation, many things happen. So when you have an epidemic over a wide geographical area, then it becomes pandemic. And this power situation we're talking about, power, when we talk about power, several things come to your mind. Electricity, energy. In fact, some will be thinking of generators. Am I correct? Or the typical Nigerian situation. How many of us have 10 hours of electricity per day from the national grid? How many of us? All right. That is the pandemic situation we're talking about. But what happens when there's a crisis? We will go back to Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 to 4. The way God has created us, that when there's a crisis, there's something that happens. This is the map from satellite of Africa. And you can spot where Nigeria is. So no wonder Africa is most times seen as a dark continent. Maybe not because of the color of our skin, but maybe because we're always in darkness. And remember in verse 4, God separated light from darkness. Let me give you the situation report of Nigeria. We are moving very close to 200 million people. In fact, a lot of people have said we are already at 200 million people. And I think we expect to hit, 430 million by year 250. The energy need that we need today, without industrialization, that all of us need right now, is estimated at 40,000 megawatts. So for you to have 10, 12, 15 hours of electricity in your homes, Nigeria needs to generate 40,000 megawatts now. But what do we have? Less than 5,000. At times 4,000 average. In fact, 2 days ago, it crashed to 2,974. In fact, this year, we have had what we call shutdown 6 times that Nigeria was completely in darkness. A lot of you don't know. So you think, NEPA has taken light from my side. But there are 6 times this year that the national grid has collapsed. That all of us in Nigeria were in darkness for that moment. The installed capacity yet is 13,000 megawatts. That means the capacity that the generating companies have is 13,000. They have barely been able to do 7,000 most times. Another interesting issue is currently we have, most discos, Gencos, permit me to use that word, they generate up to 7,000 megawatts. But because the capacity to transmit the energy to our homes is limited, discos will reject energy. So there's a 2,000 plus stranded power in Nigeria right now. So Gencos, that's generating companies. If I use Genco, it's generating companies. They provide electricity, power. Discos, distribution companies are supposed to distribute to our homes. Discos will reject that power and say, I cannot take it. For so many reasons. We can go on and on and on. And it's been estimated that the actual electricity and power and energy that we need today by population size is 200,000 megawatts. Because in a sane environment, you need, 1 megawatt to 1,000 people. Or thereabout, there's this calculation. So if you divide 200 million by that number, we need 200,000 megawatts. There are estimated 30 million generators in Nigeria, including, which one? I better pass my neighbor. Nigeria is the generator capital of the world. So every other country, they produce generator and all the ships face Nigeria. That's where it comes to. The self-generation means what do we generate from, what's it called, generators. It's between 8,000 and 12,000 megawatts, even higher than national grid. I'm setting a template for you to, because we're talking about pandemic, so I have to let you know how the situation is. So if Nigeria generates 10,000 megawatts today, we cannot distribute it. The transmission line is old. And then in 2015, we spent about 3.5 trillion to buy fuel for our generators. In 2018, it had moved to about 5 trillion naira. We read many things. How many of us have read news about a family being wiped out because they put generator very close to their rooms? Right? Pandemic situation. How many of us have seen this kind of picture before? I took a picture of this when electricity was when fuel was very scarce in Nigeria. There was a week before Buhari took over. 1 week. How many of us remember that completely there was, if you have money, you couldn't even buy fuel. There was no fuel anywhere. It's only in Nigeria you see things like this. Pandemic situation. And then there's this small generator somewhere here. I hope this is a highlighter. Yeah, you can see it. This is the popular I better pass my neighbor. This is the phone charger near my house. And at the time we're engaging with him, when I met him, he was using this generator to charge mobile phones as a business. But I will share his story with you after. So, generators everywhere. In fact, this is a queue at NNPC fuel station. It's now Pariwani Road, right? Yeah. And they buy kerosene. Basically, what do they use it for? To light a lantern like this. Can you even see the person carrying the lantern? You can't even see the person carrying the lantern. I will tell you who this person is. Students. I went to secondary school in the village. I'm from Kaba, Kogi State. So I spent 5 years of my life in that secondary school. So we normally do what we call evening preps. If you belong to my age group, you must have known that. So you are expected to bring your own lantern to class. Non-negotiable. If you have 20 students in class, there will be 20 lanterns. Meanwhile, a lantern should ordinarily can cover about 10 people. But the seniors will insist that you have to bring your own lantern. And then you can imagine the pollution, emission, the smokes that we are inhaling. All right? So what happens? When there is crisis, the way our God has designed us is for us to be inspired to create solution. And let me go back to that Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 to 4. So in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. The earth was what? Without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. That is like a crisis situation. Am I correct? Then the Spirit of God started hovering. So how I get inspired here is that hovering is like, meditation, carrying. So I transfer it to myself. Carrying myself, getting these materials, going to lock myself in one room, listening to messages that will inspire me. It's hovering, looking for solution. And after that hovering is ended, then God came out and said, let there be light. Some spiritual works must have happened during that hovering over the deep sea. Am I correct? Okay, so, and then he said, let there be light. And there was light. Now, if you compare that to Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 and 27, to show that the same capacity, the same power that God has to create, we have it. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 and 27 says, then God said, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, over all the earth, everything. Verse 27 says, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. So the same power that God has for creativity, innovation, solution provision, you have it. So when you see crisis, don't be in that panic mode. So when there's crisis, many things happen. People, Nigeria is bad. I want to run to America. Meanwhile, it's when you have challenges, when you have issues, that's where there are opportunities. I have a friend of mine from Jordan who's lived all his life in America and Germany. We just had a 1-week training. He came. He has heard several things about Nigeria. Don't go to Nigeria. In fact, he said he bought his ticket, he got a visa without his parents and his wife and everybody knowing. He had already hopped on an aircraft before saying, well, my flight is taking off in the next moment to Nigeria. And he left everybody in panic in Germany. So when he got into Nigeria, the first, of course, is an international airport that you get to, right? So he got in the evening, I think about 7 or 8 p.m. And then everywhere was dark. So he took a picture. And then he said in his mind, he was excited that, this is the place to be. You mean you guys don't have light? I provide light for them in Germany. This is the country to come and live. Today he has almost become a Nigerian. Meanwhile, some of us were seeing it as problems and we're running away from it. The way God has created us is that when there's a challenge, you rise up, you provide solution, you package it, you make it a solution to people's needs. They will gladly and willingly pay you for it. That's how the billionaires of this world, that's how they arise. They see themselves as solution providers. So when you hear the pandemic power situation, don't let that pandemic cause any pandemic situation in somebody's heart. It's a big opportunity to make money. And that's where I am today. I'm an economist. I never read technology. But today I'm the president of the Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria. Do you know one of those things I believe in? Because my God keeps telling me that I am the light of my industry. I hope you know you are the light of the world. And it says that anywhere I step into, I am the light of that space. So I said to myself, I'm going to renewable energy. If you are looking for 3 people in Nigeria about renewable energy, you have to speak to me. Because that's the way God has created me. That I step into a space, I become the light. But before you do that, you have to listen to the advice of our pastor. Build capacity. I sent myself to school to train. I've been to Renewables Academy in Germany. I speak some technical matters now that electrical engineers can speak. I may not be as deep as they are, but I have the foundational knowledge to be the CEO and lead my company and even drive that industry in Nigeria. And recently also, I was also made, the chairman of the D8 that talks about energy in 8 countries. Be creative. Be a solution provider. So how can you harness and profit? As I bring this to a close, how do you harness and profit? Number 1, you have to be innovative. When you see a problem, begin to think of what do I do about this? As I was driving in here this morning, and it happens to me all the time, it has become a conscious effort. Anywhere I go to, I begin to look at what is not working around here. What is not working here? As I was driving right from my house here, I was looking around. What's not working in this area? What is not working here? What's making people suffer around here? Then I'll go back and think and say, go and fashion out a solution and take it to them. You serve them and they pay you for it. That's how wealth is created. I won't run away with, I'm going to Dimu or Yanoiba. What's going to happen to me there? What? No. You go in there and go and see what is the solution that you need to provide here. That's how to harness and profit from a pandemic situation. In renewable energy, there are other opportunities you can take. Number one, you can be a sales representative. So we retail some products in Nigeria. In fact, we provide solutions for small businesses, principally barber shops. Our company pioneered powering barber shops with solar in Nigeria. So we saw them using that small generator. And I just went back to my closet. And it happened when I went to have a haircut. And NEPA, in quotes, NEPA took light. And the man didn't have fuel in his generator. And you know me that have afro now. One side was made, the other one was left. So I started thinking, this is another problem. So if I'm in this place as a consultant, what solution will I bring? How can I make this happen here? And then we developed a solution that powers barber shops. As I speak today, we have done over 500 barber shops using solar energy. And then I combine my experience in the financial world to technology. So I finance them. So we install solar power. And they pay 5,000 naira every week. And in 2 years, they own the system. And the 5,000 they are paying is less than the 7,000 to 10,000 they were spending on fuel before. No noise. No pollution. No wahala of going to look for fuel at the filling station. No servicing and maintenance. Are you with me? Solution. And that's one of the mainstays of our business today. So you can be a sales rep. You can identify, one of the technologies around renewable energy. Renewable energy has about 4 or 5 technologies. I'm in solar. There's wind. There's biomass. There's small hydro. Are you aware that this eba and amala and rice that you waste that are not working, that are, do you know there's what we call a digester? You can have it beside your cooker. You can just be pouring all those waste inside that cooker, and it will generate clean, blue flame energy for your cooking. Are you aware? You can be a direct sales agent. You can be a solar installer. Opportunities to develop your skills. I tell everybody I meet that aside the university degree qualification you have, the Harvard and MIT that you have gone to, what can you do with your hand? There's a Bible verse that says, what is in your hand? Am I correct? Who did God ask that? Moses. What is in your hand? What can you do? Today now, at least some level of coupling of solar power, I can do it. And I also extended it to farming. To say, look, what's in your hand? Farming. I'm in farming also. You can train. We just train some people who became solar installers, ladies, young men, and the rest. That can, because there's a gap in the industry, because the rate at which the industry is growing, we don't have enough capacity of installers to service the sector. So you can develop a skill in that area. You don't need to, if Dr. Cosmas Maduka didn't go to any 4 walls of the university, and today he's a PhD holder, that means, as I am now, I can actually go back and turn myself into an engineer. What does it take? I'll go and enroll in one of the schools. Maybe have another first degree. It's possible. But you don't even need to get to that extent to become a solar installer. You can build capacity in that area. How did I get into the space of renewable energy? An economist, a former banker. I just started gathering information. What is renewable energy? What is it all about? What are the technologies? How is it done? And I started to read. This, our phone, is a gold mine. But at times, there are distractions. So you might be on Google trying to read about renewable energy, and one post on Facebook will drop. Maybe you want to go and check it. Or you go to Instagram. Or you go to, But that material we have, that phone, those tabs that we carry, that's how I read and I was, appointed by UNDP to be a financial advisor on renewable energy, something I never knew before. Gather information. Develop your capacity to be a consultant in this space. You can be a community mobilizer, awareness creation. There are so many opportunities in that space. So, This is how I started November 26, 2011. So I started my business by exchanging a solar lantern with a kerosene lantern that my mother was using. And that's the woman that was carrying that light that you cannot see her face. So and I said, no, this cannot work. Madam, I was using kerosene lantern when I was in school. Let's do something now. Give me that your kerosene lantern. Then I'll give you something else that is better. But you have to give me your kerosene lantern first. I won't give you that lamp and you still have the kerosene lantern. No, we will exchange. As at the last time we went home, my wife is here to testify. She's still using that solar lamp since 2011. She has not bought kerosene for kerosene lantern. So, and the word, we need more than 50 million of these solar lamps to be sold in Nigeria. It's people like you and I that can go and sell it. I will tell you. We do community empowerment, rural women, exchanging their, atupa, with solar lantern. Yes, we train engineers, male and female. Students are now reading with solar lantern. My kids here, especially the young girl, in fact, at some time, I had to go and buy a kerosene lantern so that they can see what the kerosene lantern looks like. My house in Magodo is completely powered by solar, 24 hours. In the last 5 years, I've had 24 hours of electricity in Nigeria. And there are several homes that need it. It is you and I that should go and do that business. Okay? So we started in 2015. We were leading We're replacing a better pass my neighbor with solar. Our vision is that by 2030, we will have deployed 1 million systems to take away 1 million generators. Do you think it's not possible? Do you think it's possible? It is doable. One generator after the other. We count them. All right? And this is one of our barber shops. This is my barber. I have to round up now. This is my house, powered by solar. This is one complex in Abuja that is completely powered by solar. Today, we are developing a solar system for a new market that is being renovated in Lagos. Because of NDAs, apparently won't mention the name of the market. And before the end of the year, you will see a market in Nigeria that is completely powered by renewable energy. It has been done elsewhere. You need to bring it. This is solar dryers. This is an installation we did in the north. And then we're training young children. Of course, my kids are posted already. This young man has said he must become an engineer. And I can imagine why he wants to. He has enjoyed 5 years of uninterrupted power. So why won't he become an engineer? All right? There's a video of the award that we got for, inspiring and introducing solar barber shops in Nigeria. Just about less than 3 minutes. I'll close now and I'll take my seat while you watch that video. But I want to tell you that God has made us to be solution providers. All you need to do is to develop that competence and capacity and show that passion to what you do. So 2 passions I have. I am completely sold out to Jesus. And then I take that same level of passion to the business that I do, and I'm completely consumed in that business. You cannot do that and not be a success. Thank you.
Follow us on all our social media platforms at MyCSTV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.